Hi, this is Dr. Julie Gilbert. I am joining you from my kitchen at home. And this is our debut session of our cooking class from Oregon Weight and Wellness. We're excited to add this for our clients and people who may be looking for a medical clinic that is involved in culinary medicine, lifestyle medicine, and wellness. And so we're happy to be hosting this today. We will be joining you live at least once a month on a Friday, and hopefully more than that. But our idea, because you wanted it, was to do some live cooking classes. And the beauty of this is if you can't join us at the appointed time, you can join us later, anytime. So anyway, happy to be here. Now, usually I'll be joined by a guest. Today I don't have a guest, so that's okay. It'll be just me. But frequently it's just us, by ourselves in the kitchen. And we need to learn to be comfortable in the kitchen and at home in the kitchen and really enjoy the art of cooking. I'm currently inspired by Dr. Abreu, one of our other doctors in clinic, I was inspired to take a class that she took, a culinary medicine class, and I'm currently taking it and learning so much. What are the barriers for people for cooking? And one of the big barriers is time constraint. We're so busy with our lives, with our work. Maybe we have children in different activities. It seems like we got busier maybe with COVID, not less busy, or even if we're working from home, we're doing more work, and that those lines between work and home life have been a little grayed or fuzzied out. And so we haven't been spending as much time in the kitchen. Actually, I learned that over the last 40 years, I think there's been a decrease in cooking at home by 40%. That seems huge to me. And of course, then an increase in eating out. And so we also know that when you cook at home, you tend to eat healthier foods. You tend to eat less food. And you tend to eat in a healthy way at a table with your family and really enjoy food. So when I think of making a meal, I want to make sure that I have the essentials. I want to make sure that there's energy in it, healthy energy, and I want to make sure that I enjoy it. So those are my 3 E's for creating a meal. Essentials. What do essentials mean? Essentials means that I need these nutrients. My body can't make these nutrients. I have to eat these nutrients. So what are essentials? Well, there are essential proteins, essential amino acids, essential fatty acids, and essential vitamins and minerals. And then there's energy, and energy can come from fat or starch. We'll talk more about that as we go. And there's enjoyment, because I want to live a lifestyle and enjoy the food that I prepare in the kitchen, and I want to see that my family's enjoying it too. So today I've chosen a recipe from the Keto Instant Pot cookbook. Now, I'm not necessarily keto, but I happen to really like this recipe, and it's the beef shawarma. I don't know if you have this book, but it's on page 99. I've done a little pre-cooking, hopefully with the show when there's 2 people. We're just going to do the cooking and show that it doesn't take a lot of time. But so it asked me to put my ground beef in the Instant Pot. Oh, by the way, one way to save a little time with cooking is to use an Instant Pot. I don't know if you can see my hair. I'll lift it up. Turn the camera. Yeah, there. It's my Instant Pot. So a lot of people that I know have them. You don't necessarily have to run out and buy one, but there you go. But it can be a very useful tool in the kitchen to cut down on time. So I put my ground beef in there, and I'll say something about that. That's part of the protein essentials. And I'm using beef from a cow that ate grass. So grass-fed, grass-finished beef, because it's going to be leaner, have a better fat content, leaner, less fat, and the fat that's in it is going to be healthier for me. And it's going to have vitamins and minerals in there and essential amino acids. So a complete protein. So it asked me to brown that in there, for not brown, but just chunk it up for 3 or 4 minutes. I've done that. And I'm ready for step number 2, which is add the onions and the peppers, the shawarma spice mix, and the salt. Now, so I've done a little pre-cutting here, and you can see the vegetables that we're using today are so colorful and delicious. We're using red pepper, and I've just chunked those. And this took me 30 seconds to peel and slice this onion. By the way, I'm putting all the peelings and stuff into my compost bucket that I'll put in my compost pile for later. That's something that you can add. You don't have to do that right away, right now. But anyway, so it asks us to put our chopped onion. You can see that I've just chopped this not very fine. And peppers in here. Okay, and you just push them in there. And then a little more onion. And you can add more onion if you want. It depends on what your taste desires are. And so I'm doing that. And then I'm putting in my shawarma spice mix. Now, this is the other thing that I did. Look at all those gorgeous spices. Aren't those beautiful? Yes, those are going to add antioxidants, nutrients, anti-inflammatory ingredients, all kinds of, and deliciousness to my my meal. So I've got cinnamon in there. I've got allspice. Allspice. Don't you put allspice in cookies? You can put it in meat too, so it's really yummy. And I'm putting coriander in there. This might not be so in most of your kitchens, but don't worry about that, because as you go along, you'll acquire more spices. As you practice your skills and acquire new skills, you'll want to try new spices. So then I have oregano and red pepper. I put a half a teaspoon. My son likes a little bit more than that, but I put a half teaspoon, and then ground cumin. So I am going to stir this up. So beautiful. Oh, there's salt in here too. Yeah, I'm going to just stir that up and then just stir it. I'm going to stir it in. It doesn't say to stir in, but I'm going to go ahead and stir that in. And it's already smelling delicious. I love the smell of all those spices, and I know that they're nutrient dense and they're going to just really help my body be healthy. Okay, that's looking great. I'm going to put, now the beauty of home cooking is that you get to choose how much salt and fat you want to put in your food. I'd say sugar, but we don't use a lot of sugar in our meals. We want to keep sugar in dessert, right? Yeah. So, so it calls for another teaspoon. I'm just going to put a half teaspoon of salt. And you know what? If a family member wants a little more salt when they're eating this, they can just add just a little bit more. But it's the fat, sugar, and salt that that the food companies add to the processed foods that keep our brain wanting more, and never satisfied. So we can control that right here. By the way, the salt I'm using is pink salt. It's not been stripped or bleached, and so it should have just a little bit more mineral content to it. So that is looking great. The next thing it's asking me to do is put my cabbage in there. I have just chopped that a little bit. This is my favorite kitchen tool right here, my knife. You don't have to buy any kind of expensive knife. You can buy a $14 knife, just keeping it sharp. And my husband is great at doing that. So it called for 2 cups. I'm just going to cut a few slice just a little bit more off of here. For it to be 2 cups. That's looking great. And that's just a thin slice through there. And then I'm going to just cover. You can't really see this. We'll get better cameras and equipment as we go, you know. And I'm just going to put that right on top of there. There you go. And then the beauty of this is that we don't have to put any water. We're not adding extra fat in here. And then we put the lid in place. If you've ever used this, I've had it try that a couple of times. Putting the lid in place. And then, I'm making sure that it's on the right knob there. And then I'm just going to push high. Oh, can't quite get it. Not quite locked yet. Oh, I know I'm not ready. Okay, you got to turn it off. Turn it off. Then put the lid on. Okay. All right, there you go. And then I'm going to turn it on high. And then it's going to have to build up the pressure. And that's the beauty of this. It builds up pressure very quickly, and then it cooks in a short period of time. It says I only have to cook this for 2 minutes. Wow. I'm going to cook it for 5. But it does take some time to build up the pressure. So while this is building up pressure and cooking, we will go ahead and move to the cauliflower rice that I'm going to serve this on. So, by the way, if you don't have time to do the, chopping of the vegetables for there, you can buy a bag of already chopped vegetables. That's just fine. There's no shame in that. I do that frequently. And this one has cruciferous vegetables that would be beautiful with this. And I would just chunk the meat and then toss this on top with the spices. So we are building up pressure here, making sure I have the right thing there. Yeah. Okay. And anyway, so this is great. And this has kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, green cabbage, red cabbage. So beautiful vegetables here with good nutrient density and not a lot of energy in this, just nutrition. So jam-packed with nutrition. The other thing that I wanted to mention, if you want to do more plant-based shawarma, you can use lentils. Let me show you what that would look like. So these are green lentils. They don't take very long to cook at all. The only difference I might add is that you probably would put all of this together with a little liquid then, and I might have to look up a recipe to figure that out. But lentils would be perfect, and the spices with lentils would be delicious. And then you add your, with the other vegetables too, it'd be gorgeous. So yes, so there's a lot of ways to change up this recipe, shorten even the prep time, which is already pretty short itself. So while this is building up pressure, then we can go ahead and think about how we want to prepare our riced cauliflower. And you can do that yourself with a head of cauliflower. I haven't done that, to be honest with you. I buy this. I find at Costco. And Lisa Wilhelm is asking, have I ever used lentil noodles? I have. I have used garbanzo beans noodles. I've used a lot of chickpea noodles. Well, that'd be the same. But yes, I've used red lentil noodles, and they're pretty good. So I haven't used it with this particular recipe, if that's what the question was. But anyway, so while this is building pressure, I'm on to the next part of my of my meal, which is my cauliflower rice. And so this is frozen, and I can pre-cook this a little bit in the microwave, which I'll do right now. So I just cut this off. It doesn't take a lot of skill. Dump it in my bowl. The skill that it takes is not to get it all over the floor. And then it might be a little noisy. If it's too noisy, I'll turn this off. But then I do a little defrost. I do a little defrost on the cauliflower rice. Now, not everybody in my household loves cauliflower rice as much as I do, so I give them another option. They also need a little bit more energy, like my son who's running around all day versus me. I'm sitting at a desk, up and down, but not moving around. So I might serve. This with a whole grain tortilla, and I got this from Trader Joe's, and it's whole wheat, and there's only 9 grams of carbohydrate in there. So I could, if I needed a little more energy, so I would serve this with with this tortilla, and it just gets heated on a pan. You really, with the cast iron skillet, you really don't need to use any oil at all, but you could if you wanted to, a little bit. Okay, so then from there, I'm just going to heat my riced cauliflower in my pan, and I am going to use a little bit of. I'm going to use some avocado oil. This avocado oil can be heated to a higher temperature, and maybe a tablespoon is all I need. And can't really see all that, but we'll figure out the cameras as we go. But it's just a little bit of olive oil. I'll put salt, pepper, garlic on that. I might even add a little bit of lemon juice, which I really enjoy. And so this has gotten up to, our shawarma has gotten up in the pressure cooker, has gotten up to the required pressure, and it just needed 2 minutes. I think I've been talking that long. I'm going to give it 1 minute more just to make sure it's cooked, but we don't want to overcook because the cabbage will be super mushy. But anyway, so I've got that going. I've got my cauliflower rice going. I could serve this with my low-carb tortilla wraps. These particular ones are from Trader Joe's. And then I can serve it with a tzatziki sauce if I want to get that in. I don't even have to serve it with anything if I don't want to. I can just eat that, and that sounds delicious to me. I can stop there, or I can do one more step and add the tzatziki sauce. And so and the tzatziki sauce is on another page in this book, but it calls for some garlic, which I would crush, some shredded cucumber, and they said peel the cucumber. I like to eat the skin as long if it's organic. I'll wash the vegetable, not peel it, but eat that skin because so many of the nutrients are in the skin, in the peel of the vegetable. And then I would mix that. My favorite is to mix it with, this may sound interesting to you, but I mix it with a little plain kefir, and then sour cream. And okay, so this might be a little bit loud, but it's time to turn this off and take the pressure down. I just turned the knob on that. And then I'm going to turn this way because I think I don't want to, oh, you're seeing my whole house now. So I don't want to have too much noise from that steam coming off. But anyway, I use kefir because it gives me some good probiotics. And then I would use some sour cream. I personally am okay with a little bit of dairy in my diet. And then I would add a little lemon juice and crushed sesame seed and garlic. And it makes a really yummy sauce that you can put on your tortilla and then have with the shawarma. It'll take a little about 5 minutes for that pressure to come down. In the meantime, we're getting our cauliflower is cooking up nicely in our skillet here with just a little salt, pepper, garlic, and you can hear that on the stove there. I'm going to move this too. All right. That's looking great. I think the longest time it takes is for the pressure to build up and then settle down in the pressure cooker. But in the meantime, I'm wondering what other barriers did you find from getting into the kitchen? Time is the biggest one, we know. The another one might be, well, you don't maybe cooking looks like maybe you were never taught to cook, or you never or when you as growing up, maybe you ate some mostly processed foods, or maybe you find yourself going out to eat quite a bit and not even considering cooking. Maybe cooking looks like opening a can of chili to you, which is fine. You know, what's the next thing that you could add? What could you do to maybe make your own chili? You know, so those are the things that we want to address and talk about, overcoming some of the, recognizing the barriers, and then the walls that kind of hold us back and keep us kind of locked into our routine. And then we want to, build some some doors in those walls. So here I have, this is looking really good. I'm going to see if I can show this to you. Just cauliflower rice there that is in my cast iron skillet. I'm just tossing it around with my wooden spoon. I'm going to put a little salt, pepper, garlic on this. Those were the staples in my family growing up, salt, pepper, garlic. And then when I grew up, I expanded my horizons. All right, don't need a whole lot. Yeah, so Lisa comments that people are on various diets and have various food preferences for sure. I know as a mother of four, I didn't want to become a short order cook, but there are people that may have different food allergies or tolerabilities. So we do have to take all that in mind for sure. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here. It's a little bit hot. I'm going to turn this off here. And I'm going to give this a stir. I wish you could see this. Just the beautiful. I'm going to see if I can put the camera on this. Um, Okay, I think you can hear me now. Sorry. This is my first run through. So, and the next time I have another person with me, so it'll be a lot smoother. But as I was saying, beautiful shawarma. We can just eat this by itself. This is going to be so filling and satisfying. It's going to push all the right buttons in my gut, in my small intestine, and in my brain. And I'm going to enjoy that and then be filled for several hours until my next meal. So I can add, so what's missing from there as I'm thinking through that, I may not have as many omega-3 fats that I want. So where could I get that from? Maybe I could have a couple of nuts on the side, or maybe I could throw some chia in there in the pressure cooker to round out all the essentials that I need for that meal. Maybe I could throw some omega-3s in my tzatziki sauce in some way. So anyway, I always try to keep the essentials in mind. I want to keep it simple, and I want to enjoy my food. So that's what we're going to be trying to do here every Friday, or at least one Friday a month. And we'll try to post the recipe, the ingredients. You can cook along with us if you want, or watch and cook later. And hopefully we'll be answering your questions and just having a good time. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.